shocked about what's happened. But that's, everyone's got their view. My view, and this is just me personally, I've been very impressed with what Kevin's done with the asset. I think the company has made some mistakes. I think the transaction I proposed was a mistake. I think there hasn't been and I've said this to Kevin personally, I don't think there's been enough engagement with shareholders. I think they've done a very good job of acquiring the asset and getting it to where it is at the moment. I'm looking forward to working with Kevin. I found out about the resignation and our appointment same time as you did when I saw it pop up on the ASX site. I've spoken to Kevin this morning. We've got a board meeting tomorrow. As I said, I'm really looking forward to working with him. Hopefully he is too. I mean, it's always, if you're a managing director of a company, it is traumatic to go through this process, and it's unfortunate it had to happen. I think the success of it, it's very, very hard to do a Section 249D. The company has a lot of things going its way, and most of them aren't successful. I think the fact that it has been successful shows there are a lot of patient shareholders who would like to see some changes. But I don't think anyone I've spoken to is being critical on what's been done on the ground, which is the main focus of the company.
I absolutely agree with everything that James said. Like, for us right now, it's about taking the next chapter, which is about stabilising the company, supporting the company, and achieving the potential of the asset. And we absolutely want to work with Kevin, and we hope that everything can progress in a very positive and seamless way.
No, I've conveyed that to Kevin. I know Kevin's got a large stake in the company, and hopefully he wants to see that progressed and as much value is added to that as possible. Some more questions?
Do you know the results of the voting?
I don't. As directors, we will find those out.
Yeah, and it'll be published?
I'm not sure what is the... if it is something that normally is published, we'll have it published. Let me look into that.
I think you can take comfort that the shareholders were obviously in a significant majority in terms of what they wanted to see happen for the announcement that you saw this morning.
As company secretary, what's normally the procedure there?
Well, I guess the announcement's been made.
Yeah.
It's been down to the board that they want to put those results out.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want anything that's decisive to move on, but I do believe generally it's good to have as much more information out than less. So can you leave that with us? And
yeah.
so the first board meeting's tomorrow.
The other one was the top 20, which we haven't been able to get.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite common for companies to put out top 20, but it is the board's. It's in the top 10s in the ASX in the report normally. But again, I'm quite keen to have more information out than less, and I'll raise that at the board meeting tomorrow, and I'll be quite supportive of publishing it.
Yeah, so a lot of companies publish it on a monthly cycle. I don't see why there's any reason why we can't do exactly the same thing.
Has Kevin given any indication at all what his intentions are from here on? I know it's not so real cordial at the moment, but is that it?
I wouldn't say it's not cordial.
I think he's got a lot to deal with right now, just in terms of there's been some big changes. So hopefully, once he's had time to digest it, everything can settle down and we can move forward together and collaboratively. So all the interactions we've had, there's never been any friction between us and him at any point.
I've personally got along well. I haven't spoken to him a lot, but I've spoken to him 3 times, 4 times. You know, so I admire what he's done. And I would hope that, I think he's very committed to the company. He's got a good stake in the company. I'm hoping that he wants to move forward and work with, as part of the new board, to get where we all want to go.
Have either of you had a relationship with him prior to this? No.
I spent 1 day with him in China on a previous trip in Shenzhen, and that was all cordial. That was introducing the previous or the current MOU partners to him, and yeah, that was all positive and smooth.
The MOU partners, are they all sort of, do they know what's going on, or?
I've got a very, very good personal relationship with them, and by that I mean professional, with regards to I keep them fully informed as to the asset and what's been going on. I plan to continue that and also to progress those MOU discussions as quickly as possible. As I mentioned before, there's a very large shortage looming in the market, particularly as all the new factories start. First Batteries announced that they're building a $5.8 billion US facility. That's massive. That's also going to require about 40,000 tons of lithium carbonate, and I'd say that we're perfectly placed to supply that.
And Tonga, like with them, you're sort of getting them in on the freight side?
Look, I always saw any project you're looking at, what are the key risks around it? And there's no point in, I guess, trying to not taking those risks head on and working out sensible and methodical solutions to them. And one of the I guess challenges for BGS is the logistics, and that can be solved in a whole range of ways. What attracted us to Tongdao is they're the largest physical trader of iron ore and also a lot of base metals in China. They have the experience in moving product. They have the experience in warehousing, logistics, insurance, and all the other things that you need to actually move a product from one location to another. And they also are an incredibly sophisticated company. Like if they do their presentation and show you the automation, software, and systems behind what they do, they are absolutely world class. I like having Tongdao there as part of the overall solution for how we actually ensure that the product gets to market.
So that deal is like, they get, like we get it, we sell it to them?
At the moment, these are essentially agreements with an intention to move towards binding. So they're very flexible at the moment. We can take those agreements however we want. Tongdao, they have over 1,000 institutional clients. Their massive interest personally is actually to supply their direct clients, because they realize that if you're supplying people in smaller quantities of lithium and on a spot basis, you can get a much higher premium than what's even stated in the market. So as all sort of like Glencore, Trafigura, any of these sort of groups, they can see the opportunity, and they know better than anyone just how short also the market is. They're also like looking to try and branch their mineral exposure, but very, very professional group. Myself, Brendan and David Gillam have met them. I've also subsequently met them on numerous times as well. Very, very good operators.
So we just, like with them in First Battery, are they sort of opposition to one another, or they basically we sell to one and they sort of feed the other, or?
Absolutely not. We've got lots of options. You can choose to go with one or the other. There's also about several other groups out there that also have potential. So I think it's just a case of we sit down, we discuss with these groups and with others, and we work out the best possible, I guess, proposition for holders to provide value. So we're not forced to do anything. We're in the hottest commodity. We've got a brilliant asset. It doesn't get any better than this when it comes to commodities, honestly.
My personal view on that is you want to keep yourself uncommitted as long as possible. You know, once you've committed your output, you lose some of your upside, and you want to make sure that's at the right point in time.
Yeah.
That's just my personal view.
No, absolutely.
You know a lot more about living in the market.
No, James is exactly right. Like where companies get financing, like we saw Bgs Egm, for example, with Optimum Nano providing the 40 million, it was tied to the offtake. So the most valuable thing we have is our offtake. So that's our crown jewel. So we use that to get the best deal, and we make sure that deal is inclusive of every single thing we possibly want. We don't sell it short.
Would that also including value adding by having a processing plant on site?
It's definitely something we'll investigate. Yep.
It drops your transport in, doesn't it?
Absolutely. It's why Greenbushes is putting in their own processing plant, because it gives them a competitive advantage, because you're moving much less material. So from a transportation point of view, it gives you a massive value-added uplift.
So everything seems sort of clear to me with the lithium and what's sort of happening with the lithium. What about the gold assets, the Rheingold gold assets? Any plans for that? Or?
It's a discussion I'd like to sit down with Kevin, just because of his experience. There's Rheingold in country. I'm also aware of 5 other Chinese groups that also are running gold mines and operations in Mali as well. There's a whole range of options for us there, and again, I think that's something that needs review. I'd love to see a JORC on that, just as my own personal because for me, it's as the board as well, from a fiduciary standpoint, it's important that you as shareholders understand what the value is there and what the actual asset is.
There's been no development on that in the last year or so. So I was just interested in where that's going.
I'm a huge believer in transparency, and that's something we'll review early, and we'll work out a game plan for it.
The previous board made a little bit about sort of in-country relationships in Mali. I'm just wondering, I know you've only had a couple of hours, is that something you've had a chance to look at all? Or do you see that being a possible issue? Or?
Having dealt in Africa, in-country relationships are critical. If you lose control of those, you lose control of the asset. From a number of people I've spoken to, there's a good in-country manager. I assume, I'd like to think Kevin's will continue, and he's managing those, and it's something coming into this. It is number one priority to make sure that you have backup plans and it's covered, because it is a real risk in Africa. Do you want to say anything? Or will
What do you want to say?
you can ask me questions too.
Are you excited, Beth?
We'll see.
Extremely.
Well, exciting with where the company might go, yeah, of course.
Yeah. More questions?
That was easy.
Someone must have some hard questions. Come on.
I've got one.
Please.
Comment on the previous offer.
Comment on previous offer. Well, I'll just give the factual background. So, Juan had been suspended because they had a loss for 2 years in a row. And how the Shanghai main board exchange works is if you have a loss 3 years in a row, you're delisted. So Shanghai and the exchange and how it works is quite different to how the ASX works. They saw Reifu acquisition as a way to basically plug a hole in the P&L and to basically meet the exchange's requirements from a underlying profit test. Reifu, as part of the negotiations, saw it as an opportunity to get options on a whole variety of different transactions. Whether or not those go ahead or don't go ahead, Reifu is best placed to know that. But they saw it as a way to essentially try and increase their value proposition and essentially purchase price. ST Juanquan is there because the ST means they were suspended. The ST is now gone, it's now just Juanquan. They've now stepped away from the Reifu transaction. But Reifu themselves never had the financial capacity to do the transaction. They were always relying on a bigger company. I think one of the advantages that shareholders have now is that we know the players in the sector intimately. We have staff, we have people in China full-time that tell us the lay of the land. They're incredibly well connected, ignoring our own connections. We are unlikely to misstep in that country. And that's where all the money is these days. We talked to other CEOs of other Australian publicly listed lithium companies, and they have done roadshows through America and Canada and Europe, and there's no money there. So the money is all in China. So it's all about knowing who to deal with in China, knowing how to present to the Chinese and how to close a deal with the Chinese. And they're skills that you build up from spending years there. And that's the hard thing for a lot of juniors. They don't have people that have that experience or that depth of experience for dealing with the Chinese.
My view, this is again my personal view, is that for companies such as BGS to sell an asset, say $107 million, you get taxed probably in Mali, you get taxed in Australia, even though the company did have some tax losses, it'll still be a large tax bill. Out of 170, you might be ended up with say 60 or 70 million, and then transaction costs. All companies think, well, we've done a great deal, we should keep some money back to invest in on other great deals, because and then you end up shareholders getting maybe $20 million out of it or $30 million, and I just don't think that deal, even if it had gone ahead, was shareholders would have seen much money out at the end of the day. And if there is company is to do a deal where someone's to buy the asset, I think they need to buy the company. It's a capital gain for shareholders. The money flows straight 100% into shareholders' pockets.
And would you, in the same transaction, would you hive off the gold into a separate company?
You'd look at it Yeah, I mean, if, on that, you can do that, but it's only if it's not worth the cost unless the gold is of a certain value, and you'd have to make a decision of that, and whether you're getting, you know, maybe the buyer might add another 5 cents, 3 cents, whatever it may be, to the purchase price for having the gold there, and that might be enough. But yeah, you'd look at it. But, and that's just my personal view on what, as a shareholder, I'd be wanting, any transaction to look like.
My own personal view is that like the Sangha zone, it's thicker and higher grade than the main zone, can effectively replace the main zone. Is that something that would be investigated pretty soon after everything's kind of stabilised?